They say that every hero has an origin story. Well, I'm nowhere close to being a hero, but I definitely have an origin story. So I'd like to introduce myself and share the reasons behind my work, what my journey was like in becoming an estate planning attorney and why I founded Pinnacle Law Firm. I'm Corlendos Scott, and I'm the founder of Pinnacle Law Firm. Now, when I decided to go to law school, I had this grand vision, maybe a bit naive, I'll admit, of using my creativity and my problem-solving skills to make people's lives better. I didn't have all the details figured out, but I knew I wanted my work to have a real tangible impact on really the day-to-day lives of the people I served. Now, growing up, I only knew of lawyers from what I saw on TV or heard about in the news, mostly like criminal law stuff, the TV shows. But I wasn't really interested in courtroom battles. I wanted to be more like Tom Hagen from The Godfather, minus the Mafia ties, of course. I wanted to be a trusted advisor. That's what I think he was. Someone people could rely on to help them navigate life's challenges. Now, my first taste of practicing law came at a large law firm doing white-collar criminal defense. It sounded exciting, but reality really hit hard early on. My first big assignment, helping a billionaire get his World War II bomber plane through customs. Not exactly the high-stakes legal drama I'd envisioned. And after 6 weeks of babysitting a plane, I knew I needed something more fulfilling. So I moved on to work in-house at an entertainment industry labor union. Now, that was more my speed. I've always been a fan of filmmaking, and it felt good to help creatives do what they do best. But still, I felt disconnected. The work I was doing was so far removed from the final product that I couldn't see the direct impact on the people I was supposed to be helping. Things finally clicked when I joined a boutique law firm specializing in assisted reproduction and estate planning. Now, for the first time, the work I did had a direct impact on my clients. They couldn't leave the hospital without their beautiful baby getting the legal paperwork that I completed. On the estate planning side, I was helping families protect and provide for the children that we helped them bring into the world. It was meaningful. But as I dug deeper, I realized this firm, despite all its strengths, was falling short in a few critical ways for my tastes. First of all, everything on the estate planning side was billed hourly. Now imagine being charged over $500 an hour just to ask questions. So my clients were understandably hesitant to reach out, even when they had a major life change, like a new baby, a divorce, a new business they started. They didn't want to pay to tell me, so they didn't. The result? Well, their plans quickly became outdated. They were destined to fail when their families needed them the most. And I hated this. It wasn't the kind of relationship that I wanted with my clients. I wanted openness, communication, ongoing support, but the hourly billing model was getting in the way. Then there was the cookie cutter approach to planning that we took. Now sure, there are certain legal norms you'll find in most estate plans, but the devil is in the details, like the saying goes. So not tailoring a plan to fit a client's specific goals, assets, and family dynamics can lead to disaster. I had a client with children from 2 marriages. The standard trust we used split assets equally among all the kids, but the client actually wanted his children from his first marriage to receive certain heirlooms and a larger share, while making sure his second spouse was financially secure. Now, the template didn't account for those nuances, and it nearly led to a family feud. I had another client who had a child with special needs who relied on government assistance. Now, the generic trust we used didn't include a special needs provision, which meant the child's inheritance jeopardized their benefits. This mistake could have been catastrophic for that person's long-term care. And then at the firm, there was the follow-up, or I should say the lack thereof. After clients left with their beautiful, nice binder full of estate planning documents, we had no system in place to maintain an ongoing relationship. There were no follow-ups, no reminders, nothing. We didn't even check in when laws changed or when life events, births, deaths, marriages, could and would probably affect their plans. Clients who thought they had comprehensive protection ended up with outdated, ineffective plans simply because we didn't have the infrastructure to provide the proactive support they deserved. A client created an estate plan, I remember, right after their first child was born. Years later, they had 2 more kids, but because we had no follow-up system, their plan was never updated. When the client passed unexpectedly, the outdated plan only provided for the first child, leaving the others out. Cue costly emotional family litigation. I had another client. Their estate plan was created before a major change in estate tax laws, specifically the introduction of something called portability, which lets a surviving spouse unused tax exemptions pass on to the surviving spouse. Well, we didn't inform them about the change, and their plan wasn't updated. The family missed out on significant tax savings, costing them hundreds, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars. Also, I remember specifically a client who set up a revocable living trust, but the assets were never properly funded into the trust because our job ended once the documents were signed. Years later, when the client became incapacitated, the family discovered most of the assets were still in the client's name, never put into the trust. So they were sitting outside the beautiful trust we had built. They had to go through a time-consuming and expensive court process to gain control, defeating the whole purpose of having a trust in the first place. So the turning point for me, though, came from a deeply personal experience. Years ago, long before I even became a lawyer, my grandmother passed away. Now, she was a woman of modest means, an amazing woman, and she took pride in owning her home outright. She bought a home in the early 50s in a time and a place in the Deep South where people who looked like her weren't even supposed to buy homes in that neighborhood. And when she got a little older, she paid a lawyer good money to draft her a will, thinking she'd done the responsible thing. I never questioned her estate plan. I figured my mother and her 5 other siblings had everything under control. Now, fast forward years to when I was practicing at my old firm, I got a call from my mother. It left me stunned. She told me, "Baby, we've lost your grandmother's house." I couldn't believe it. There was no mortgage on the property, so how could it be gone? Well, it turns out my family never probated my grandmother's will. No one ever guided them through that crucial step. Then a missed property tax payment allowed the state to swoop in and sell my grandmother's house for pennies on the dollar. Now, my grandmother did everything she knew to do. She paid good money to have a will drafted. She thought she hired an attorney, but without a professional relationship to lean on after she was gone, that document failed to protect my family and her legacy. So watching my family's inheritance slip through my family's fingers was the moment I realized that the traditional model was broken. Estate planning isn't just about drafting documents. It's about guiding families through the entire process, making sure they have a trusted advisor before, during, after the documents are signed. That experience drove me to seek a different way, one where clients are supported at every step so that what happened to my family doesn't happen to anyone else. That realization that estate planning is about much more than just drafting documents is what led me to start Pinnacle Law Firm and my estate planning practice. I was determined to do things differently. So here, the relationship with the client doesn't end when they leave with their binder of documents. Instead, we focus on building long-term relationships. We make sure that if a trust was created, that trust was funded. We work on regularly reviewing and updating plans to ensure they stay relevant as lives and laws change. My goal is to make sure my clients never experience the heartbreak that my family did. Now, the loss of my grandmother's home wasn't just a personal tragedy. It was the moment that I understood my purpose as an estate planning attorney. It pushed me to build a firm where families are truly protected, not just on paper, but in real life, every step of the way. So I decided to do things differently. First of all, nothing we do is billed hourly. Everything is billed flat fee, agreed to in advance, so there are no surprises. You'll know exactly what it will cost to work with us after we've clarified your goals, and you'll even be able to choose your own fee. Then after the initial planning process, we offer options to keep your plan up to date throughout your life with costs clearly outlined so you can make informed choices and you're not afraid to pick up the phone and give me a call if something changes. A few years ago, we worked with a young couple expecting their first child. Now, they had spoken to other attorneys who bill by the hour, and the uncertainty around costs made them hesitant to move forward. They were afraid that the fees would spiral out of control and, leave them with an unexpected financial burden at a time when they needed to be planning for their growing family. Well, when they came to our firm, we explained our flat fee model. We took the time to get to know their specific needs, concerns, and goals, and then we presented them with a clear upfront fee for the entire estate planning process with no hidden costs or surprises. So they appreciated being in control and chose a fee option that fit within their budget. And after the plan was in place, they opted into our ongoing maintenance program. So a few years later, when they had a second child, and purchased a new home, they returned and updated their plan. Again, they knew the exact cost up front and could confidently make decisions knowing there would be no unexpected bills. And like many of our clients, this approach gave them peace of mind, not only about their estate plan, but also about the financial aspects of working with us. They felt supported and in control at every stage, knowing their plan would evolve with their life. They've since referred several friends and family members to us because of the transparency and clarity they experienced, which is exactly what we strive for. At Pinnacle Law Firm, we start every relationship with an in-depth conversation that goes beyond just assets. And this is how I got beyond that cookie cutter mold at the original firm that I began estate planning practice. We take time to understand your family dynamics, your financial situation, and your personal values. Now, this isn't just about filling in blanks on a form. This is about understanding what really matters to you so we can tailor a plan that truly fits your life. Take, for instance, a married couple with 2 young children who initially came to us thinking they only needed a simple will. They believed a basic set of documents would protect their assets. But during our initial life and legacy planning session, we dug a little deeper. We learned that the husband owned a small business, but growing business that they hoped to pass on to their children. The wife's aging parents were beginning to experience some health issues, making it likely that she would need to manage their care and finances really in the near future. So the couple also had strong philanthropic values, and they wanted to leave a portion of their estate to their favorite charity, but didn't know how to do it effectively and in a way that would help them with taxes. So with this fuller picture in mind, we were able to design a comprehensive plan that went far beyond a simple will. We created a revocable living trust to protect their business and ensure a smooth transition to the next generation. We established guardianship provisions for their children, and we incorporated a charitable giving strategy that allowed them to leave a legacy with their favorite cause. We also provided and prepared them for the possibility of taking on responsibilities for the wife's parents, ensuring that they had the legal tools in place to manage that situation if and when it arose. So they left our office with peace of mind and a plan that truly reflected their unique situation and their values, one they hadn't even realized they needed. Without our in-depth conversation, these critical aspects of their lives might have gone unaddressed, leaving their family vulnerable and unnecessarily open to complications and costs down the road. Most assuredly what they would have done had they worked with an online fill-in-the-blank type of form. We see estate planning as just the beginning of our relationship with clients. In the past, planning was treated as a one-time transactional event. But at Pinnacle Law Firm, we believe that's when the relationship really begins. Once you sign your planning documents, we don't just send you on your way, we make sure your plan remains relevant as your life evolves. Every 3 years, we review every plan at no additional charge. And almost all of our clients participate in one of our membership programs, which provides a yearly plan review and unlimited changes. Being a parent means constantly thinking about the what ifs we'd rather not dwell on, but absolutely must prepare for it. And for me, every time I look at my kids, I'm reminded that estate planning isn't just about finances or legal documents. It's about ensuring that no matter what happens, my little ones are cared for, provided for, and that their futures are secure. And that's why I approach estate planning with the same care and attention I'd want for my own family. There's no such thing as a one-size-fits-all solution with us. Every family is unique with its own dynamics, its own values and needs, and that's how I treat every client. We're not just planning for today, we're planning for all the twists and turns that life might throw your way. And just like I would for my own family, I'm committed to staying in touch, regularly reviewing and updating your plan to make sure it stays relevant as life changes. So if you don't have a plan in place, make sure you click the link below, reach out to us, and let us schedule a free discovery call to find out what the best next step is for you and your legacy.